So today I was wanting to talk about some common trailer wiring issues and some simple fixes for them. One of the main issues that you're going to find is going to be with these plugs. All the connectors and spades and stuff in there, they'll start getting corroded, and that'll start causing intermittent like light issues or brake issues or what have you. It'll work sometimes it won't, kind of a deal. One of the main ways to prevent that is just using dielectric grease. You can get it from any parts store. You just, like you would imagine, just squish it in there, make sure you get it all over the place, and just touch it up every now and again. It lasts pretty good while. This has been in it for about 6 months, and it's still holding really well. Another issue is that the housing will crack, and then that'll allow water and everything else to get in there. So one way to fix that is to go to an all metal housing. I had bought this thinking I was going to switch this one out to, prevent some stuff. But this one actually ended up looking like a pretty good solid quality one. This one here though, sometimes if you let it go long enough, all those connectors inside of there will start getting corroded also. So you'll have to pull the whole thing apart, clean them up with some like high grit sandpaper, maybe some steel wool, get them all cleaned up again and goop them down with some dielectric grease, and then put it all back together, of course. Just make sure you get everything lined back up properly. See how, if you look in there, you got the notch, the key maybe, and you got right there where it's got the set screw. And then you also got a place down here. Sometimes you might accidentally get them mixed up and put it backwards, and that'll cause some strange things to happen also. So just make sure you get it put back correctly. The next issue you're gonna have is gonna be with these, the breakaway systems battery box. So you might you want to keep checking it. You just hit the test button, make sure it flashes fully charged. And this little guy right here, that's your actual breakaway cable. You need to be popping this out, making sure everything still works. Sometimes that's definitely a wear spot right there. They have a little plastic piece, but it can still create issues. And of course, bad electrical connections. A lot of your other issues are going to come from back here and your axles. So if your trailer brakes aren't working right, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't want to work. Let's get up under here. Maybe you got some intermittent issues, or they're just not working at all. So let's see if we can find it here on the camera. So you can see there's a couple of points where they connect. You got this spot here, and you got this right here where they actually go to the magnet. See, it's going into there, going into the magnet. And then these two here. Oh man, I can't. These wires will go up to the other side. A lot of these trailers, they like to run the wires to the passenger side by running through the axle itself. They'll run the wire through the axle to the other side, to the passenger side. Those wires inside the axle just vibrate all the time as they're going down the road, and it'll eventually wear out the insulation on the wires, and it'll start arcing out and shorting out on the inside of the axle tube. So one of the main ways to fix that I've done is I just went and got some 3-part wiring that had a really thick rubberized coating on the outside of it, rubberized casing on the outside of it. It's at Home Depot, Lowe's, whichever one you want to go to. You kind of see it more with like my transfer pump, my diesel transfer pump that uses this kind of wiring, or heck, it even kind of looks like the wiring that's on your main plug. All right, it's just that real thick rubber coating, and what I did is I just attached it on this side, wired it into that side, and then zip tied it to the back side of the axle. I didn't want to put it up top or on the bottom, have it get hung up, or up front, let it on the front of the axle, let it get hung up. I figured the back side of the axle would probably be the safest spot, and just use some decent quality zip ties and just check on it. You know, you're doing daily pre-trips and everything, so just keep an eye on it. I ran it for quite a long time like that, never had an issue. So I've also had it where the wiring going down to the magnets where it connects into the main harness, they used a really cheap, just a regular old butt connector, and sometimes my brake would work, sometimes it wouldn't, and it was popping off lights inside the truck, you know, saying that the trailer brake wiring isn't working properly or what have you. So after replacing all of the brakes on my trailer, messing with all the wiring, I ended up finding that, yeah, they just put a really bad connection up top. And they just electrical taped it together. So as soon as I pulled the electrical tape off, the wire fell out. It was super corroded. You know, you always want to try to get, let's see, connectors like this, where you can connect them together and then you heat shrink, you know. And if you want to take it one step further, you can even get the wiring heat shrink like this. You know, before you wire, go ahead and throw that on, have it hiked up on the wire, get your connectors done, heat shrink them down, and then slide this heat shrink over everything and heat shrink that down too. That just, you know, one extra layer of protection. Doesn't help, doesn't hurt at all. And it's, you know, doesn't take much. So most of the time, like I said, these connections are going to be your main issue. Let's see if I can get up out of here again. And I have another axle on the ground here we can look at. This is an old axle off my 16K trailer, well 20K, that it got bent. So Dexter sent me a brand new axle assembly. If you need parts, hit me up. This one's got 2 good drums on it, both leaf springs. But anyway, you can see here what I was telling you about. You know, they got the wiring that goes straight to the magnet. It goes in the axle tube, pops back out the other side, and wires into this magnet. All right, so like this is an 8K axle. So in order to get into that, you're just gonna have to pop this cap off. It's gonna have a big old nut inside of there. Take the nut loose, pull the drum off. Sometimes you might have to tap on it with a hammer. You pull the drum off, and then you'll have the backing plate. And it's just a whole assembly. So all you'll have for the backing plate is just these 4 nuts. Whole backing plate comes off, and you can put in your new one, splice in the wiring, put everything back together, boom, you're done. It's super simple to change out these axles. Another common issue is that, you know, just your brake light wiring or your license plate light wiring, they'll come loose. So it's a pain in the butt to get in there and look through everything. Diagnostics is not my forte, but sometimes, you know, just pulling stuff apart and looking, you'll find it pretty quick. To get these lights out, you just want to kind of start tugging at these gaskets gently, work your way all the way around it, tugging on it little by little. Eventually it'll come out, and then you can pop the light out of its gasket, look in there, fix what you need to fix, and then whenever you go to put it back in, you just put your rubber gasket in, spray it with some WD-40, and then your light will just slide right back into there. But those are the main wiring issues that you're going to find on a trailer. It's all just bad connections. If you're having issues with the trailer brakes, like I said, check the connections where your magnets wire into the main wiring harness. It's a super simple and easy system. So just don't be intimidated by it. I was at first, and the more I started looking at it and messing with it, the more I realized that I was freaking out over nothing. So, you know, don't be scared of it. Sometimes self-rescue is the best way to go. I mean, it's all I've ever been able to do. I've never been able to afford to pay somebody to come out and help me out. So you'll save a lot of money, and best of luck to you guys. I hope this helps. If you have any questions or you want me to go over something more specific, just, you know, ask, and I'd be more than happy to try to come up with a way to illustrate further what you need to know. Thank you.